Hello, welcome everybody. Today we will have a live stream with the International Rover Challenge, formerly known as the Indian Rover Challenge team. And I am Bahadur from UKET, which is a foundation that we founded in Turkey on space communication. We were working on rovers for the last 4 or 5 years, and now we are working on how we can communicate science in Turkey. And we will see the experiences of Manik, Sagar, and Justina on the topic on their very different journey. So, welcome everybody. I will start with Manik. Manik, can you tell us about yourself?
All right. So hi, I'm Manik. I'm from New Delhi, or like I'm 24 years old, and so I also have like a rich rover team background. I started at Rudra, which is the team at SRM University in Chennai, in India. So Rudra has been participating in the University Rover Challenge for almost 9 years now, and it's one of the oldest teams, and it's I think the first team to participate in URC from India. So I've had that sort of a rich experience from my seniors. Like all the learnings through the years has been passed on to us. So I've been fortunate like to be a part of such a rich team. So I joined the team while in my second year in college. During engineering, I enrolled into the team, and at that time I didn't really know what I really wanted. I mean, I was looking to explore different technologies and different clubs that were there in college, and Rudra struck me the most because, well, when you say Mars rovers, it's always something like it always gets a glimmer into your eye. So I joined the team, and I was fortunate enough to have great people working around me and great seniors to guide me. So I was in 3 years, like I was part of the team for 3 years in 2016, 17. So I'm sorry, 17, 18, and 19. I started as a junior electronics engineer in the team, and slowly through those experiences, through different research methodologies being implemented by testing the rover overnight, through many stressful hours. So all of this cannot be put into a 5 minute introduction, of course. But yeah, for anyone who's listening into who's currently in this background, I would recommend that yes, this experience is entirely life changing, and it has taught me so many things about technology, about working with people, about project management, about managing an entire team from the lab to the URC field internationally. So it's been filled with a lot of experiences. And so after that, I met Sagar as well, and we founded Marsadi South Asia, where it's almost on similar lines with you guys, where we wanted to build a platform for people to join this community and enable them with the sort of resources that we had, and yeah, basically make an entire community where we can share resources and the knowledge that we have.
Wonderful journey. We can continue with Sagar's experience. Sagar, can we know more about you?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Sagar, and I also live in New Delhi, India. And just like Manik, I also joined a rover team in my second year. Uh, it was in 2016 when I joined Mars of Manipal, and after 2016, I worked in the team till 2018, and then in the management subdomain. So that was a kind of experience which was I can say, life-defining experience for me. I got to introduce with this amazing community of rovers. And during that time, I did not have much idea regarding what I am going to do in the team. But once I joined the team, I joined it in the management system. I got a lot of opportunities uh, and a lot of skills. And then I thought that there are a lot of teams in India. And when I look at like our country here, we have more than 4,000 universities. And same is the case with countries like Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. So we thought, why can't we have a similar kind of competition here in India as well? So with that mindset, we started a competition known as IRC Indian Road Challenge. Then now we call it International Road Challenge. So then once I left the team in 2018, I got involved with the IRC as its event manager, and then I was responsible for managing the IRC 2019. And after the IRC, like 2019 happened, and then I completed my engineering in electrical electronics. So I was lucky enough to got in touch with the people like Manik, Justina, and a lot of others. So together we formed Mass Society South Asia. So initially, our only objective was to provide a good platform to the rover teams through IRC, and then subsequently we faced new difficulties like COVID. So we started some new competitions as well, like International Rover Design Challenge, which is completely online competition. And then last year we also shifted our focus to Martian drone competitions, and we started a International Planetary Aerial Systems Challenge. And we also hosted one edition of Mars Hackathon. So that is how we started with one competition, and now we're hosting 3 to 4 competitions. And in the future, we plan to continue these, and we plan to add so many others. And as far as my experience in the team is concerned, that was really, really good. But I must say this thing, like the experience which I'm getting here through Mass Society South Asia and through IRC is of entirely different level. When we used to work in a team, we always used to think like the work which we are doing is the best one. But now, after these 2 years, I can say that the work of organizing the event is far, far more than just building a rover. Now, I got to interact with a lot of teams. In fact, today morning I had talked with around 3 teams. So that's a kind of another experience. Got to you get to meet a lot of new students, a lot of new teams every year. When we started in the year 2018, we had just 5 6 teams in India, but now we have more than 20 teams which are actively participating in rover competitions, and that's a really good sign. It's not just for India, even the countries like our neighboring countries, Bangladesh, uh, Sri Lanka, Singapore, and every year we're getting teams from Poland as well. So that's really good. So far, we have got around teams from 10 countries when I combine our all competitions. So that's a really good platform for everybody. Yeah, so that's about me.
Thank you very much. So, just a little question: how many teams right now in India working on the rovers?
We have 20 plus teams which are actively working on the rover. If I have to count all the teams together, like the teams which were there 2 years back and the teams which are right now working, I think it will be more than 25. But every time we have got more than 20 teams from India in all our competitions, whether it's online and even for the field events, we get the registration from more than 20 teams. Though some of them are unable to complete their rover on time, and like those constraints are always there, but we have those many teams here, and I think we have around 7 to 8 active teams in from Bangladesh as well, and we have got a new team last to last year from Sri Lanka as well. So they have been successfully participating in our online event, but we are yet to see them in the field event of IRC. So they are teams which are in the region, which we have seen like emerging for the past 2 years.
Wonderful. I will continue with Justina. So, tell us about yourself.
I'm Justin. I'm from Poland. I was involved in Student Scientific Association, who was responsible for building Mars rover for University Rover Challenge, and it was a few years ago, as we count before the webinar, I think 5 years ago. And I was there 2 years as a vice president. And after that I started with a few friends our own association called InSpace, where we were realizing a few projects like Mars bases and Mars or other spacecrafts. And I think that we met with Sagar when I was in space. So he invited me to join Mars Society South Asia and help with the competitions. And that's how it started.
I see. Wonderful. So I will start with the past that you have working on rover teams, different teams, and how was your experience? Like some of you explained how it was before, but I want to know like how rover competitions as a team member experiencing them pushed you in a way that changed your life, changed your future to work on projects like this. What was the reason of that shift? So let's start with Manik.
Yeah, so I did hint on this point, but yeah, since you've asked me outright, I'm going to elaborate much more on this. So the rover competitions for me, or even like if I just talk about the team, It has really been a pivotal point for me in shaping my personality, because it really like, keeping the technology part aside, you really get connected with people who are like-minded and who have the similar drive to work towards something, and basically something that has a meaning. So you like in my college, you in my or even in any other college, you have two options. Either you can sit in your hostel room or wherever your dorm is. You can either sit in there, or you can get out of that room and you can join a team. And when you do that, you I mean, it's basically self-affirmation that you do, that yes, I'm going to get up today, I'm going to use my skills of whatever I have, and I'm going to put it to good use. And while you do that, when you go into that lab every day, you learn something new. Whenever you like, I had this mindset, like even when I felt a little bit lazy, I thought that I just need to get out of that door, and even if I just go walk and like sit in the lab for 30 minutes and listen to something, I'll learn something new. So that is the sort of drive that you get with people when you are associated with such people. And so yeah, that mentality really like that compounded the success that I had. So the sort of learning that I had with such people, and the sort of personality change that brought in was really great. And the place where I am right now, I would really attribute a lot of it to the Rover team. So that was part of the development in the like personality side. Apart from that, the technology that you learn in that lab is really unparalleled with what you would learn in class. So like I like, not to discredit my university, but I would say that I've the real engineering that I've learned is the one that we did in the lab. So like books are fine, lectures are fine, but when you actually get to implement all of that theoretical knowledge on that rover, is when you really see the on-ground problems that are happening. So like personally, I've been working in the electronics domain, so I know that when what problem is faced, so what component is not working, where I can really pinpoint on which IC is not working, which terminal is not being connected well. So all of that comes with experience, with trial and error, when you actually put your mind to things. And like for every problem, you sit 2 to 3 hours to troubleshoot that. And you can be certain that once you've done those 2 to 3 hours, the next time that problem comes, that you'll know that yeah, this is the exact thing that's happening. So yeah, the technology point, like I would totally encourage any and everyone, if they have the opportunity to go into a rover team, or not just into any rover team, if it's any technology based team, like I would definitely encourage anyone to get out of their hostels and do this extra thing there. And I also have a funny moment from URC that we had. So we basically use these 2.4 gigahertz antennas, like the ubiquity systems that I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that or not. So yeah, like during our the first day that we had, we took 3 ubiquity systems with us. So 2 was there, one was the transmitter and one was the receiver. But while packing, we thought like from India, we thought that let's take one for backup. Like God knows, like we've never faced any problem with that. But we thought that fine, we have it with us. What's the harm in taking this? So on the first day of URC, the thing that was working for 2 years for us, no problem, that day it failed. So like none of us were expecting it, and thankfully we had that system. And so yeah, in that night, one day we had to change the entire system. And unfortunately, it was a short range antenna. So for the science task and the equipment servicing task, that worked fine. But our extreme retrieval task was at the last day, where the distance actually is much longer, because you have to operate at about 1 kilometer. And we knew that those antennas were not going to work. And we were like, fine, let's like we don't have any option. We have to go ahead with this. And that night, we had the task in the morning about 8 a.m. And at 2 o'clock in the night, we thought that okay, let's test the older module again with the longer antenna, and let's just see, it might work. And it actually worked. So so you never know like what's going to happen, what's not. So all of these incidents, like you have to be prepared for the worst. And so these experiences really teach you a lot there. So yeah, just to encapsulate that.
Wonderful memory, by the way. I will ask more things about the memories you have. But let's continue with Sagar. And
I'm sorry, just
yeah.
Before moving on, like I'll just like to conclude with one thing. So after we got through with URC and everything was done, like all like years of hard work, and juniors working under us 30, 40 people working under us. So that night after we finished URC, we were sitting in our bus and we were heading back to Salt Lake City Airport. So I just took a nap in the bus after everything was done, and that nap was really the best nap that I had in the last 3 years. And that I'll never forget that nap. So it was just the nap of satisfaction that yes, you're done with everything, you've accomplished what you came for, and now you're heading back home. So yeah, that feeling was unexplainable.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree on that point. So Sagar, what about you? What about your experience that led you here?
Yeah, so it was in 2015 when I started my engineering. So I'm a person like who always, likes to spend mornings and evenings outside. I like to play all the outdoor sports, cricket, football. So for the first year, I just, like we had a, circle there and all the friends. We used to spend our evenings and mornings there. And then 2 semesters passed like that. And then when I moved to my second year of engineering, I realized that only 2 or 3 of us were left who were not part of any of the, technical teams or clubs. So then we just, pressed the panic mode. So whatever the clubs and the teams were there in the college, we used to go to every interview. So except dancing and fashion, we went to every, team in the college. So then in the college we had two different kind of teams. So the one was technical and non-technical clubs, and the best were the student project teams. So we had student project teams for autonomous car, solar car, formula team, drone teams, and the rover team. So I applied for the rover team, and I was thinking that the team was new. The team was started in 2014 November. So it was in 2016. So I thought like team is new. I will get a lot of good opportunity. So then I gave the interview. Like first there was written test and then the interview. So I was the last person to enter that room to give the written test. I gave the written test, got the interview cleared, and then in the team we have a task phase of like around 7 to 8 months where you are technically not part of the team, but you're learning everything. So for those 8 months, I got to learn a lot of new skills. And fortunately or unfortunately, the scenario was such that in our senior team, we did not have a management team. And I was working in the management team, so I got a lot of good exposure there. So then in 2017, I moved to the senior team. Then again, as I mentioned, like there was no senior team, so we were the seniors, and three were there in the management team, and all this work sponsorship, and the best part was the handling of the shipment, because our team we used to separately ship our rover from India to USA. So that was the most interesting part for me. We used to start that thing 5 to 6 months before the competition, and even during the exams, the end semester exams, I had to run, to the there's a building known as EDU building, the main building where all these administrative people sit to get these things done. And so like that 2 years went, and then we thought like let's organize a competition in India as well. So in 2018 we participated in the first edition of IRC, which took place in Chennai, and we won that competition. Then we thought let's do that competition here in our own college. So then I again started building a team for that competition. So that was altogether a new experience for me. And the most interesting part there is the first meeting which we had with the college administrators. So the director of our college was on 17th of April 2018. And the interesting thing is I had my end semester on 16th, and I had my end semester on 18th as well. So, and the meeting was around 5 p.m. on 17th of April. So the first exam went really well. But for the next exam, that whole night I had to wake up. And the moment I entered for the exam, I was not sure whether I will clear it or not. But by God's grace, I cleared the exam somehow. Otherwise, the entire journey would have stopped that day. So that was a really difficult part. So after that, we had a semester break of 2 months, around 2 months. We started working on that. Then I had a really good team. We organized the event, and that is how this IRC started. And from that day onwards, I never left it. Then 2019 IRC happened. Then we started Masters at South Asia. Then we built, Masters at South Asia. So like that it happened. So that was a really good part. And the other change in my lifestyle was I used to go to the workshop, the lab, at around 6 p.m. and then till 2 a.m. we used to work in the workshop. So that was a kind of different. Now all the sports which I used to play, I had to stop everything. But this was a thing which I really liked. And there's one more interesting incident which I would like to share with you guys. So I still remember the date. It was on 30 November 2018. So we had a sponsor. They came to visit our team, and they used to sponsor us the fasteners. So I was just showing them our campus, and then they had a meeting with our faculty advisor. And during the meeting, they asked the faculty advisor what all places are there to visit, nearby places. And they were particularly interested in a beach, like a place where they have, Arabian Sea on the one side and then a river on the other side, and then there's just this road. So because I was working in the team, never got time to visit all those places. I visited those places only in my first year. And that day, and our faculty advisor, he told like Sagar will show you all the places. He is well aware of those. And in fact, I was not aware of any of them. I never visited them. I just knew the names. So the whole day I had to spend with them. So initially I was clicking their photos because they were the seniors officials. But after 1 hour, I asked them like, you also click my photos. So that was the most interesting time because we always visit those places with our friends and teammates. But the most interesting thing was to visit the place with them. So I got in touch with one of them some time back, and they still remember that. So that was really interesting. So there are so many moments like which are output or the result of working in the rover team. And as Manik mentioned, like it's not about the technical work, and especially for me, it was not at all about the technical work. The personality development which we get working in the rover team, or for let's say any team. So that is really good. It becomes it's a kind of mini company or mini venture where we are working every day and night, and we have set targets and deadlines. So like the way we eat every day, like breakfast, lunch, dinner, same way that part also becomes a that team also becomes a part of everyday routine. And I still remember I did not visit my home for 1 year. So during the vacations as well, I was in the college because we had then IRC was there. So those things are there. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything else, any other reason why I should stay in the college during the vacations as well. But that was very very interesting and a very new kind of experience. If I look at back and see like in my second year, so that was really good.
It's good to have no regrets on that. Sometimes when I meet with people from the whole team, like when they work hard at nights, they remember like it's a good thing, but they remember the tiring part of it as well, and they're just regretting the time they were in the team, and they like the whole thing still. I ask them like, do you want to go again for another time? And they say yeah. So thank you, Sagar. Justina, what about your past on the rubber teams and how it affected today?
I think that a lot of things will be similar, but I need to admit that being in Mars Rover team is like running a small company, is because you have the same problems, not only technological but also organization with management and financial parts. So I think it was the biggest problem for us to find money and to deal with this money. And it's like every startup. So yeah, it was very difficult. And I also remember working till very, very late hours. For example, in Poland in May, there is a huge students' holiday where you are partying all day, all night for the week. And May is the busiest week if you are taking part in a university rover challenge. So all the students were partying, and we were sitting in the lab till 7 a.m. So it was extremely difficult for us, but I think it was one of the best experience because you see people working together with you instead of partying to build a rover, to start in the competition, maybe to win, maybe not, but we were together, and I think that it's really great experience. And the same, like that all people around the world with different teams are doing the same. They don't have time for anything because they are building a rover, and you can go to the competition site and meet these people, and you have the same problems, you are doing the same, you are losing 1 year to build a rover and don't have any time for anything. And I think it's great because then you can, like us, do other things after the competition or after the college or university, and just start to develop, I don't know, maybe space, maybe robotics, maybe something else together. And I think that this international experience is the best thing that happened after the competitions, because now I can, for example, cooperate with Sagar, and I think it's great that now we can be in India and Poland and it doesn't matter. So
Yeah, it also globalizes people with the experiences, as you said.
yeah, exactly. There are teams from all over the world. So I think that's the best part, because a lot of competitions are mostly in one, for example, country, and there you can meet people from really 40 countries or even more during the one competition in a few days. And now you can feel that even if you lose, it's still a great experience, and you can get to know more people and more technological things, and just be part of this group. I think it's amazing feeling.
Wasn't is be hard, so is global. I think is should be hard.
Yeah.
I think you mean my cooperation with Saga right now? I think that now
so.
it's easier than ever because of the COVID. We are used to doing everything online, and now it always was possible, but now we needed to do it, and now more people are used to working global because it's part of our daily life. So no one is surprised that people from different sides of the world can work together, and I think that's the best part of the situation, because of course it's difficult for everyone, but now we can really say that the world is small and we really can work with everyone and everywhere.
So I'm gonna go with the projects that the Mars Society South Asia does. I know in more detail about the competition itself. We can start from that, and then maybe you elaborate on the other projects as well. And I want to hear from you that if students all around the world, how they should participate on events that the Mars Society South Asia does. So who might want to explain? Sagar?
Yeah, so as far as the competitions are concerned, so the one competition which we have, the International Rover Challenge. So this competition starts in the month of May and June. We release the rule book then, and the finals takes place somewhere at the end of January or the mid of February. So that's the timeline of the competition, and like all other rower competitions, we also have preliminary rounds where teams are required to submit a video, and they are also required to submit a report. So through that, we check the readiness of the teams, how prepared they are to participate in the competition. And then in the competition, we have 4 tasks, and similar to other competitions. So there are certain things which are different from the other competitions, which are we have recently introduced a new round in the finals as well, which we call project implementation round, where we sit with the teams and we discuss how they have made progress, how they are getting the budget of the team, the sponsors, and everything. Because we think that as far as the technology part is concerned, if the teams get enough funding, they will be definitely working really hard on that. But most of the teams, especially in this region of the world, they face this difficulty that they are short of funds. So that is why we plan to introduce those things. And the competition takes place around 3 days, the final competition. And if I talk about the previous edition, which took place in 2020, uh, during that we had 16 teams in the finals, and I think 3 teams were unable to join the final because of their academic schedule. And we got 35 teams registered in the finals, and we shortlisted 19 of them. And during the field event, we have teams from India, Bangladesh, Poland. So these were the three main countries participating there. Then in the month of March of 2020, COVID happened. And after that, we started one new competition known as International Rover Design Challenge. Though we had plans to start that competition since 2019, but we thought like that was the right time to start the competition. So the objective of that competition was to fill the gap which is created by the rover competitions, because whether it is IRC, whether it is URC, whether it is CIRC, or whether it is ERC. So in all these competitions, when students design the rover, the main objective of the students is to win the competition. So they design the rovers keeping in mind the conditions of the field where the competition is taking place. So at times they ignore a lot of factors which they should consider while making a rover for Mars or for that say moon as well. So keeping that in mind, we started a competition which is entirely online. And the other advantage of the competition was teams don't have to travel and other things. And during the COVID time, competition was not happening, so it was a kind of alternative for them. And in the first year, we asked the teams to design a rover completely for Martian conditions, and we gave them around 2 months' time to come up with their report. And then again, we organized the second edition of that competition in September, from I think June to September 2021. And in last year competition, we had 2 rounds. The first was the report submission round, and the second round was the interaction with the teams, where we had a panel of judges discussing the various aspects of their designs. So that was really good. And in total, we have got participation from I think 9 teams: India, Bangladesh, Poland, Singapore, Italy, USA. So even Turkey was there. So we have got a lot of new teams. And the other dimension which this competition added was the new teams which find difficulty in getting the funding in the initial years. So they first participated in this competition, they improved their designs, and then they plan to develop a rover. So it is a kind of thing like which added, uh, what to say, a safer layer to the teams, so they can easily convince the universities to support them. And then last year in February, we started one new competition known as IPAS Challenge, International Planetary Area System Challenge. So the idea was pretty simple. The idea was to have a drone competition for Martian conditions, as we have a rover competition. So similar kind of competition we wanted to have for drones as well. So due to pandemic, we started online, and this year as well, we plan to keep the competition online. And we will analyze the situation. If situation is such that we can organize this competition as a field event next year, so we'll go with that. So the idea is like 2-3 years down the line, we want to organize both the competitions, IRC and IPAS Challenge, together, like in those 3 days. So, and apart from this, we have also organized a hackathon in the November of 2020. We call it International Mars Hackathon. So there we got participation from 25 teams. So there also we focused on lot of the things which are not covered in the rover competitions. It was a more work for the science teams of the rover teams. So that was a something different. So currently these are the competitions which we have been focusing on, and I think for the next 7 to 8 years we will be continuing with these competitions because we have only 12 months in a year, and pretty much everything is covered, and in these competitions all the months. So yeah.
I see. So you have already explained, but I want to elaborate a comment question. To ask why did you change the competition's name? I know it was like Indian Rover Challenge when it started first, and then it
Yeah.
became International Rover Challenge. And why?
Yeah, so the major reason for changing the name was we got a request from a few teams. So we were getting the international participation since the first event, the first edition of the competition, and the name was Indian Rover Challenge. So someone coming from Poland and participating in the competition, and we call it Indian Rover Challenge. And even when we used to release, have the press release, So there also we had to mention that it is Indian Rover Challenge, but it's an international competition. So both the things are not, they are not, they don't look proper. They are entirely different. So that is why we went with the name of International Rover Challenge. And the second reason of changing the name was the online competition which we are organizing. It is known as International Rover Design Challenge. So we wanted to keep the format same. So if one thing is an Indian Rover Challenge, the other thing is an International Rover Challenge. So that was not very good at all. So that is why we did it like this. And since our first edition, we had this objective of involving every team, because I know that diversity plays a lot of role. So if a team from India is interacting with a team from Turkey, or a team from Poland is interacting with a team from India, so that is something which adds a lot of value to the discussion and the stuff. And that even the team cultures are different. The way Polish people design the rover is different from the way Indian design the rover. They follow different kind of cycle. The semesters are at different times. So I've seen some teams that build one rover in 2 years, whereas as I see some teams they build a new rover every year. There are certain teams which modify the previous year's rover, where some teams they manufacture a new rover every year. So like there's a lot of difference. So once we want to include everyone from all the countries around the globe, so I think international was the more suitable name for that. So that was the idea there.
I see. Thank you. So one more question was also about the competition's structure as well. Gizem asked, are all the teams which are fully constructed a rover in India attending to IRC, or do they prefer to attend other competitions around the world? So if so, what do you attract these teams to join to IRC? So I think she's asking also about like Indian Rover Challenge has its own rules, and there's other rover challenges which are partly similar, wanting similar behaviors from their rovers. So how was it structured?
So initially we had similar rules to URC, and we have taken a lot of help from them, whether it is Kevin, whether it is Daryl. They helped us a lot. And but now the rules are quite different, and the tasks they are different. So what we do every year, we develop a different site for Mars, a simulated site for Mars, and we try to keep it as small. We don't keep it a very huge site. We keep it around I think 500 meter site. So where we simulate different conditions each year. So the objective is to give different kind of problem statements to the teams every year. And as I mentioned, we are keeping focus on certain things. For example, in a science task, we like atmospheric analysis as well as soil analysis. We focus on both the parts. Whereas in other competitions, most of them nowadays they are focusing on the soil sampling part. So those are changes. And as why the teams participate in IRC? So as far as the Indian teams are concerned, and even the others, so January is a time when no other rover challenge is taking part. So when we started in the first year and the second year, what happened, like team came with a rover which they used in the previous competition. For example, ERC or URC. Most of them used to go to URC. But now what is happening? Team develop their rover first, and then they participate in IRC, and then they go to URC. Though unfortunately URC did not take place in the last 2 years, but that is their plan now. So they start their cycle in the month of May and June. They complete the road construction by the month of October, November, and then they participate in IRC, and then they keep and then make certain changes in their rover to participate in URC. So that is the trend. The major reason of teams participating in this competition here, as far as this part of the world is concerned, is that when some team go to URC, they have to spend a lot of money on the transportation of the rover, the traveling. So when they are participating here, they don't have to spend anything on those, things, both the things, the transportation and then their travel expenses. But I am, very happy to see that even we're getting teams from other countries like Poland, and this time we had team from Germany, though we have decided to cancel this year's IRC as well because of COVID-19. We don't want to take any kind of risk. But teams from Germany, Poland, and we have also got some interest from teams from some other countries as well. So I think 2-3 years down the line, we will be seeing teams from a lot more countries. and once the situation is normal. So I think that is the reason, because teams, they plan to participate in 2 competitions in a year, so they have enough time for that. So I think IRC participating in January and ERC or URC then during the month of May, June, or in September. So that is something which suits to their requirements. So that might be the reason, I think.
I see. That's a wonderful shift in the area. So you can start building your rover earlier, then attend to ERC, then go for an international competition where you have to push you have to move your cargo to another country. So it might be a good start for the teams to attend to ERC first. So thank you very much on that. One more question that I want to ask from here, and then I will continue with my questions. Do you track the team's attendance to your challenge? What's the turnover rate of the teams attending? So I think it's growing every year, and I want to know like how the thing grows. That's also was going to be my questions as well. So what do you think?
So, I think it is growing every year. The major reason of that is when we look at the setup of the teams and the universities, they're involved in different kind of student projects and space and robotics. When we combine both these, it is something which interests a lot of students. So that is the one reason, and now we see a lot of different role competitions. You guys are starting one, and last year a new competition was starting in Australian Road Challenge, CIRC, URC, and ERC. IRC is definitely there. So I think that is also one of the reason why we see more number of teams participating. Because earlier there used to be one premier competition, URC, but now there are so many other competitions in different part of the world. So they get more chances. They have more options to participate. So I think that is one more reason why the attendance is going up. And initially, when we were hosting the competition in the first and second edition, at a time we used to approach the teams like this competition is happening, all those things. But now we don't do any of those marketing things. Automatically, teams register for the competition and they come.
I see. So when it comes to numbers, how that growth of ERC is going on. So in the student side, as far as I know, when I talk with the Mars Rover Moneypal students from 2018 or something, they were saying like the team, the core team is going for the competition, and it's small, like 40 people, 50 people. I don't remember the real number, but the team also has more people that are involved in the team's practices. So the team was like they were mentioning hundreds of students that were trying to learn from the core team. So I want to know like how the competition, when they come to competition, how many people were attending, how many people were experiencing the thing in its place.
Okay, now I get the question. So there are two things here. As I mentioned earlier, like the different cultures, the work culture. So when I look at the Indian teams, and when I talk about the R team, Maso Manipal, so when we started, there were 8 members in the team in the year 2014-15. Then the team expanded. We had a management subsystem in the team, and then the team again expanded. We included a research subsystem in the team, and then, for example, electronics, we made it electronics and AI. Again, there were 2 different subsystems like that we differentiated. So as we started, including more subsystems, the strength of the team increased. And I still remember in the first year when the team participated, though I was not a member then, but they did not have a science team. So when I joined the team, from that year onwards, they started having a science team. So as the number of systems increased, the number of students increased. And so that was one reason. And the second reason is what we started doing, we have a junior team and a senior team. So junior team develops a new rover every year, and senior teams develop a new rover every year. So by developing a small rover, the junior teams get the exposure, how to develop a rover, how to handle the finance and everything, how to source the products, how to get the things done. So they get their exposure. So that is the one thing which is happening, and most of the Indian teams are doing that. And when I look at the other teams, I think teams from Poland, even I had talked with some of the teams from USA. So they generally keep the team small, especially Polish people. They keep 8 to 9 people in the team, and they are multitasking and they are all rounder. One person is doing multiple things. Whereas in our case, whether it is India, Bangladesh, we try to keep it, like one person is doing just one job. So here the specification is, far uh, more compared to those Polish teams. And when I look at some 10 teams from Bangladesh, what they're doing, they had a crunch of funds, and so what they started doing, they develop a rover, and every year they modify that rover. So they don't build a new rover every year. So that's how they are, participating in the road competitions. And I think Manik and Desna will be able to elaborate more on this part.
Yeah, so completely agree to Sagar's point, and I actually was about to add. So yeah, whatever Sagar said is completely right. But every team has a different philosophy to their to the number of people that they have. So some teams are lean and some teams are bulkier. So as Sagar said that, like even for me, so my team when I was working, it was about 30 people, but the ones who actually went to URC was about 9 to 10, because we prefer it that way, because again, it's a popular saying that too many cooks spoil the broth. So 9 to 10 people, given certain responsibilities of certain subsystems, is fair enough, because we don't want too many opinions and too many hands on the rover as well, especially in a time crunched environment as URC. And again, pressures are running high at that time, because like you have to make changes this quickly if something's not working. So again, it's again like it boils down to the management style of the team members and how they want it. And again, like it also depends on the function. So let's say that like your only focus is to build a rover and build the system. So you're totally defined that yes, like rover building is my only objective, and I'll have 15 people do it. But if you have more of a long-term vision that okay, I want to get some research output out of the team, or I want to expand the Mars exploration ambit that the team is working on, so you recruit additional people into additional domains. Or let's say that you want to grow into more of a structure where you want to have a corporate team where they approach sponsors or they approach companies for in-kind services to build the rover. So again, that again is a management decision that you have to make. And some teams also have dedicated teams for dealing with the college management for funding and all that. So again, so all of this it depends on each team and each country. So yeah, Justine, if you want to add there.
No, I completely agree with you guys, and I don't know if there's anything to add in this topic.
I see. So, during the competition, during the IRC, so people like the teams are coming up with the sizes that go with the URC or ERC, or they go with more members. Since it's in India, for example, for an Indian team, it will be much easier to go there with more team members, so you can they can get experience as well. And we were also thinking, when I was in the Robert team, we were trying to bring as much people as possible to the competition to further years to have enough members that know how the competition works. So does it help the competitors? Does it help the teams there to experience faster, since there is IRC now?
Yeah. So I completely agree to your point that more and more people should have the exposure. So I'm going to compare this with URC and IRC. So again, like in URC, primarily because of the budget constraints, teams are tending to be leaner at that side. So that is obviously one of the primary aspects. But I also saw in IRC that I'm talking about Indian teams here. So in IRC, Indian teams still came in bulk because of the costs that are involved are much lesser, and even the logistical constraints are much leaner. But what I did observe there was only the senior leadership, or like let's say 10 people who were actually working on the rover, and the rest of the 10 people were observing, and they're probably the junior team who wanted to get a taste of the field event. And they want and I think the objective of the seniors to bring them to the event is also for that, because the seniors are going to pass out, and the responsibility of the team is going to land up on the juniors anyway in the next year. So they'd want them to have that experience, to have that feel of the competition, on how things take place, on what problems can they encounter on the field. So all of that comes there. But But in the end, what personally I saw is that only 6 to 7 members were actually putting their hands on the rover, and the rest were more of like observant, and they're trying to learn on what is happening and what's not.
I see. So I think that's increasing the quality of the teams. So when they can bring more people,
Yes.
so they're going with more people, but not as the whole team, as I understand. So my question right now is your experiences during the organizing the whole thing. I think there's many obstacles that you have seen. So many teams might have problems that you might have to be involved with to solve, or you might have problems during the competition as well. So I want to hear like some of the worst moments and some of the good moments, the best moments that you had personally. So for that, I will start with Sagar.
So the worst moment is from IIT 2019. So we had a team from University of Warsaw. So what happened? They reached the competition site a day before, but unfortunately their rover did not reach. It got stuck in customs. So as I used to handle the customs for my team, so I had good knowledge about that. I used to think at that point of time that I had good knowledge, and I did have. But then I approached all the custom people here in India and everywhere, but we were unable to get their rover. So the team was there, everybody was present, but rover was not there. And they came all the way from Poland to India, and this kind of thing happened. So like the condition was not really good, so they were totally demoralized. But what happened on the first day of the competition, I had talked with them, we tried everything but did not get the rover on time. And what we got from the officials was that like they did not have the documents completed, so there was some mistake from their team. But within 2 days, they developed a new rover. They got a small car from the market, mini car kind, and then I don't know what they did within those 2 days, and they did not have any knowledge of the area as well. So the welding and the other thing, the complete manufacturing they did, and on the last day of the competitions, they were there. So that was really really good and very encouraging, not only for the people who were there for the competition, but for everybody. And the team which won the competition was good, but everybody was happy for them, like who built a rover in those 2 days. So that was really good experience, and I was really glad when I saw those people, the team from Warsaw again in ISC 2020, and when they participated next time, and they came second. So as the experience was not very good for them in 2019, so in 2020 the experience was altogether a different one. And so that was the one thing which was really really good. And I thought like after this kind of experience they will never come to IRC, but they told me like they were very happy with the hospitality which we provided them in 2019, and they were very happy with the efforts which we made. And I still remember it took around 2 months after the competition to reach the rover to Poland. Rover was somewhere in between India and Poland, and it got stuck there. So that was the one incident which I remember from the competition. And so yeah, I think that would be there at the top, all time top. So of course, there can't be anything worse than that.
So that was the worst and the best moment at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely the best one as well.
Yeah, that's a really different experience. Like when we started doing this series, I think Lucas has explained in ERC the similar situation. Like a team couldn't get their equipment, and then they managed somehow to attend the competition. And I heard the same from the URC community as well, and I'm hearing the same from you guys. So I think this is a very good spirit that the rover teams had. So they can come up with something whenever their equipment is not there.
Yeah, that is there. But one more thing I would like to highlight to all the teams like who are watching: have a strong management team. Building a good thing is fine, but if you're not in the competition, you're not going to win it. And whenever everybody is there on the field, he or she, no, they want to win the competition, because that's the only thing which which is there. And most of the teams, they are competition oriented teams. They want to win the competition. So that is something, and you spend a lot of time on these things. Minimum 1 year you spend on building the rover. If these things are not, up to the mark, then it's very, very difficult. Because whether it is India, whether it is Turkey, whether it is USA, Poland, any country of the world, we have certain, set of guidelines, bureaucracies everywhere. So you should have at least 2-3 people in your team who can tackle these things. Otherwise, the main technical team will be spending time on these things. You won't be focusing on the rover. So that is something which is not good. And I always say this thing to teams: 50% administration, 50% technical. It's something which is there. If you don't have that ratio, then you're going to face difficulty. Not initially, because initially, as I mentioned, it's kind of mini company. You start with 1 or 2 people, like 2 founders, 3 co-founders, like that you start. But as you build the teams, as you start making it a big thing, and this is the main challenge when teams are participating in 2 competitions, 3 competitions. So there it increases the difficulty level. So if you want to participate, and because that requires a lot of flexibility as well, the rules are different, everything is different, but it also requires a flexibility from the management team side. They should be aware of the rules and regulations of those countries where they are participating and how the customs work. So if they clear that challenge, then I think it's they can even participate in 3 competitions. I've seen teams from Poland, like for example AGH, they're participating in India in URC as well, they're participating in ERC as well, and they're performing good in all the competitions. So that's not something which I see from a lot of teams. Even in Scorpio, I think they are a kind of team where they plan to participate in multiple competitions and they are successfully participating. So they are the things which, if they focus on in the longer run, they have a really good chances.
I see. I agree on that point. Like teams has to consider all the areas that they have to master on. It's not just a technical challenge; it's a logistics challenge as well. And I will continue with Justina, since she explained like it's like a small team, a small company. So in a company, you also need that kind of skills that you might have problems with, so you can solve. So Justina,
Yeah.
what's your opinion on that, and also what's your worst and best moments on this worksheet?
I need to add something because Sagar mentioned about very important thing about teams, and I think it's worth to add that what was very surprising for me, teams are preparing really awful reports. So it was surprising for me because it's basically 3 points to the competition, which usually is quite a lot of them, and most of the teams like don't pay enough attention to it and lose the points in stupid ways. So when I started to be a judge in Mars Society South Asia competitions, it was very surprising for me that really teams do something like that, because I was always focused on preparing a good documentation to have the maximum, all very close to maximum points to have a good start in competition. And I was surprised to see that it's not a common thing. So if I want to give some advice to teams, I would say that focus on these things, for example, on this, how to say it, static tasks when your rover don't need to perform, because it's basically 3 points to the final score. So I would like to add to all teams to just focus on that, because it's really easy part. And I noticed, of course, a few years ago that in some competition, when you have like really good documentation and your rover could just drive and do nothing else, you could be in top 5 teams. So it was sometimes in some competition it was even like that, if you have like maximum points for documentations. So I think that this is the best tip I could give to all teams to really focus on that, because it can help a lot. And sometimes the difference between, for example, I don't know, 20th place and the 3rd place is like 40 or even 20 points. So it could really matter in the final score. So I think it's worth to highlight this, that it can really make a huge difference there. And if it's about the best and worst things, I don't know. I think it's very similar that the worst things are becoming the best ones, because it's after the years it's quite funny, but it wasn't at the place of the competition. For example, we had the problem that our rover stuck in USA for 3 months, so we couldn't work on our rover and to compete in other competition in European Rover Challenge, which is taking part in Poland every year, because our rover were somewhere in the ocean. I don't know, in the USA. We couldn't find it. It took 3 months to have it in Poland again. So it was quite difficult. I think that another fun story was the competition in Canada, because we were used to URC, where, in the desert rain isn't common, but in Canada it is. So it started to rain during one of the tasks, and our rubber wasn't waterproof, so we needed to find every piece of material and sheet just to cover it. And what was even worse, there was like horrible rain, and we didn't have like normal car. We had pickup, so without any cover at the back. So 2 girls from our team needed to sit with our rover with these pieces of materials just to keep it, and we were running very, very fast to be as fast as possible in the hotel. But there was like, I don't know, 20 minutes, and these girls were sitting there. There was cold, it was raining, and the rover, we didn't have enough time to prepare it. So it was really, I think, maybe dangerous, maybe fun situation. Of course, it wasn't funny for us because we couldn't end this competition, this task very well. But I think after a few years, it was quite funny to ride with our rover through the Canada when it was raining all the time.
Yeah, this was the worst one. What about the best moments?
The best moments, I think all of them were the best moments. I don't know if I need to choose one. I would say that the second year of my of the time I was being in a rover team, we had like 2 competitions at once. First, we were in Canada with our rover, and 2 weeks later we had a competition in the USA. It was the competition for designing a Mars lander, organized by the Mars Society, and we were there in finals too. So we had 1 month of the whole journey, 2 weeks in Canada and 2 weeks in the USA. And I think it was very difficult, but it was at the same time very, very good experience to be 1 month in the America. So
I see, wonderful. So when you mentioned about rain, I remember my own story, like into ERC 2018. I remember it started raining during the task, like that they had precautions of it, like that they had tents and everything for the competitors, but your rubber is on the field, so it's not covered. And we put like garbage plastic on top of the rubber and did the project with that. I remember one of the sensors had 1 drop of rain, just 1 drop, and then the whole thing just blew. I remember that moment when, rain is dangerous for the rubbers. Be careful.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Manik, what about your worst and best moments? And we can start with a piece of advice for the teams.
Sure. So I'm just gonna say one moment that was bittersweet, sort of. So during while we went for URC, so there was the induction process that was happening, and I think Kevin was briefing everyone about the regulations, basically what you should do and what you shouldn't. So I think that was opening dinner, I think, that these guys organized. I don't know if you remember. So at that time, we got a Mercedes Sprinter from Salt Lake City to Hanksville. But apparently that was not allowed on the URC competition field. And before, as you guys mentioned, that it rained a day before. So the road was all sludgy, and like we were told that there was no way that this vehicle can go forward. So, and we had no vehicle, and there was no other planning that we had. So at that time, for 10-15 seconds, we were like, what are we supposed to go back now? Like after so much money invested and so much time invested, like what is it all for nothing? So at that time, we were really like those were 10-15 seconds of panic that all of us had, that what are we supposed to do now? So, but at that time, really, like that was one of the defining moments for me, or like myself also personally, that okay, like this has happened, now let's accept it, and now what? Basically, now what? Now what do we have to do? Are we supposed to go back, or are we supposed to find a way? So we chose the latter, obviously, that what are we supposed to do now? So I told the team lead to sit at the briefing and listen to Kevin on whatever he has to say, and because in our minds we made up that no matter what happens, we are going to compete. So I deployed the entire team around Hanksville to find an alternate vehicle within the 2 or 3 hours that we had. So I remember that we met this good gentleman who was, so Hanksville as a town itself it's very sweet, and I mean I don't know, I've never been to such a town before, because all the people there was just so nice. And while I was just walking down the street, so I was with my teammate, I think we were going to get some snacks. So one lady just walked by us, and she said, "Hi, how are you doing?" And to us that was just so surprising, because in metropolitan cities you're not accustomed to such nice behavior. And I was like, what? I mean, did you speak to me? Do I know you? But and this thing happened twice or thrice, and like I realized that people are so nice, and no one has any sort of egos, or they're just so open to you. So yeah, coming back to the problem. So again, so when we went to the city, and we just asked 1 or 2 people, and they were happy to help us out. Like we just asked them that we need a pickup truck to go to the competition site for the next 2-3 days, and they were just happy to oblige. We didn't really even had to try. So at that time, what I really learned is, whatever happens, you have to keep trying. You have to look at the brighter side, and you have to believe in it in yourself that everything's going to be okay. And thankfully, it was to our luck that we found a vehicle, and we paid the person who helped us. But so yeah, that was kind of bittersweet, because at the same time we were about to lose the competition entirely, even without participating. And like we also found it in us to solve that entire situation through our efforts. So yeah, that was the bittersweet moment there.
Yeah, wonderful. So my last comments will be on the International Rover Challenge. When we focus on that, what do you think on the following years? How the competition as a whole will change, and also what are your goals with it?
Yeah.
I
So
will ask those questions to 3 of you. Just start with Malik.
okay, yeah, I'll start off, and maybe these guys can take it over. So where we started with the Indian Rover Challenge a couple of years back, Sagar got in touch with me, and we had this plan to develop this entire community of Mars Society South Asia, and really give a platform for people to experiment and to learn how to build Mars rovers. And that is how yeah, and that's how we built this entire competition there. And Sagar has been involved much before than I have, and I've been involved with him basically for the last 2 years. But down the pipeline, we have many plans, and we sincerely hope that COVID goes away for the benefit of all of us, because the world has actually suffered enough, and it definitely has put a damper to the learning that students have had. So we've tried our best to adapt to the situation and make sure that the learning doesn't stop, and we have tried to incorporate the challenges, the learnings that people have on the field in an online event through IRDC and the iPass challenge. But what we are looking at further is integrating all of this together. So IRDC, iPass, Indian Rover Challenge, all together in one space festival of sorts. We haven't come up with a name, of course, right now, but we want this to be a grand event, like an event spread across 4 to 5 days, where it's all about innovation and implementing your ideas on the field, where like be it Mars rovers, be it drones, be it other robotic manipulators, or the entire aspect of project management as well. So this is where we see this entire thing going, where we see a grand festival of robotics, and where we celebrate the spirit of innovation through these events. And Sagar and Justin, I can take on.
I see. What about Saga?
Yeah, so when we started initially and now where we are, we have, an entirely different competition. Initially, the objective was just to, provide a platform to the robot teams. But now we want to provide a platform not only to robot teams, but to all the space robotics teams. And in future, we plan to, uh, move to IRDC as well, and provide, a kind of online platform to the teams where they can, improve their skills first. Because this was something which I think was missing in the robot community. And when we look at the other similar kind of student competitions in other fields, for example, formula competitions or other robotics competitions. So first the online version happens and then the field events happen. But it was entirely different here in the rover field. First field events came up and then the online competition started happening. So that's the plan to involve both the competitions as far as the rover community is concerned, and then also to involve the Mars hackathon so that we can provide something more to the science teams. So that is the idea. And what we have seen is that more number of teams can easily participate in online events, though the main focus will remain the field events, but the participation in online events is far more compared to the field events. So that is the idea, to somehow club both the competitions together going down the line. And the problems which we give in online events are entirely different from the problems which we give in IRC. So during our discussions with the teams, we have already mentioned these things, that whatever is happening in IRDC now will happen in URC 3-4 years down the line. So whatever exposure they're getting, as Rashina mentioned, that the report making, that plays a lot of role. Out of 500 points, the 100 points are for the report and SR submissions and the video making. So if they can score good points there, and they can qualify for the competition, because we always have to keep a cap. We can't ask all the teams to participate. We have to keep a cap, 20-30 teams. So keeping that in mind, so the teams which are participating in IRDC now, so it will be easier for them participating in IRC as well in the coming years. So that's the plan there. And as I mentioned earlier about the drone competition, so the plan remains the same. We want to replicate the similar things what we have replicated for the rover competition in the field of drones. So that is the plan. I think Justina will be able to add more to the online versions of the events, IRDC and IPES challenge.
Justina, you want to?
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, the most interesting ones are these online events which Sagar mentioned, because it enables people from all over the world to start their journey with space competitions. As you already know, it's very, for example, hard to find fundings for rover team, and this kind of online competitions, first it's free. It doesn't demand any cost for building a rover, and you can, for example, win first competition to start to look for some sponsors for university fundings. So I think this is the answer for the needs of current teams. For example, new teams, as it was mentioned, there is more and more new teams all over the world who want to start the competition, but it's really hard to compete with rover teams who taking part in this competition for years, and they are very, very good and have infrastructure and have fundings and have everything. So I think that for me it is very important to develop this kind of competition, to first teach teams how to, for example, create a good report, to have even possibility to attend, for example, URC or IRC, because it's not so easy to take part. You need to be one of the best to be invited. So I think this is the good start, and we really want to develop it further to teach people how to, for example, build the rover or to create a report and to start their journey with competitions.
I see. One last thing that I want to hear from you is for IRC and for IRDC, for the upcoming teams, what do you want to say, and what they should look for, and what they should do to get in the competition, and your comments about it for the teams.
And what is your advice?
Maybe I'll start.
Okay.
So I think, starting with the reports, I think that in every competition, it's just remember to read the requirements very carefully and just to answer all of them in your report and in your design, because it's really very easy to do what jury is looking for. You just need to read what's, for example, dimensions, weight, or everything, and just do whatever they want. And it is much easier to just follow the rules. And it's really important, as there is a lot of different competitions, and sometimes the requirements are different in different of them. So I think you should just focus on reading very carefully all papers, documents, and the requirements for every competition.
Thank you. Anik?
Yeah. So I'll keep it crisp. So I'd recommend teams to not look at breadth rather than look at depth, because honing one system again and again to perfection is what I feel would get them success, especially in the physical form. Because bringing in too many ideas, too many features to your rover, and not even one of them working is of no use. I mean, it is tempting to have all of your ideas implemented on the rover, but like operationally, it's not always feasible to implement. So I'd say that pick a niche, not a niche, but pick an area or pick an idea, go with it, go deep into it, and make sure that you perfect it. That strategy, I think, would bring you better success. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sagar. Let's finish
So
it
yes,
with you.
yeah, I have a few points for the teams which are planning to participate in any of the rover competitions. And the other things which I observed over the years. So the one main thing is whenever a team is participating in a competition, so they should try to keep the rover simple. I have seen the simple designs are the one who try to, who are the one who win the competition most of the times. And always it is not necessary that the best rover win the competition. I have seen the teams which have done most practice with the rover are the one who wins the competition. So you have a best rover, but don't know your rover. You have not practiced with that rover, so that's not going to work in the competition. So try to develop the rover 2-3 months before the competition, and then try all the competitions task before the competition with your rover. If your driver of the rover is perfect and he has good understanding with the rover, and you're among that your small group of 5 to 6 people, see, you can have 50-60 people in your team, but at the end of the day it's just a matter of those 7 to 8 people who are on the field. And especially when it comes to IRC, people, especially in Indian teams, they come with the entire team, they also bring the junior team. But in IRC we keep the length of our task just to half an hour. So half an hour you don't have enough time to make mistakes. So during that time, if you are well, in coordination with your rover, you are going to score good. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult. You don't have, second or third chance there. So that's the first point. And the second point, as Manik rightly mentioned, I have seen over the years there are certain teams which are really, really good in one subsystem. For example, I've seen Michigan; they're really good in science, or MRM, Mass of Manipal, they are good, and Team Rudra also they are very good in science subsystem, like in the past 2-3 years. So with this, what happens? Out of 100, they are kind of scoring above 90 in this subsystem. And if you score, 60-70% points, you're already there in the top 5. So here they score 90%, and if they have good reports, they score good there. Out of 100, they score plus 90 there. So you are already there out of 500, you're already there at 180. So that is a strategy, because at the end of the day, you're not sure what's going to work there or what's not going to work there. So there are so many variables. But if you are good with one of the subsystem and you plan like this, so I think that's the best thing. And on the field, team should keep the team size small. 7 to 8 people, they are more than sufficient. And that's I think the optimum size of the team. And this is one point which is kind of different from others is the teams I have seen, like teams which participate in more competitions, they are kind of more flexible and they are kind of more diverse. So that also adds an extra dimension to their team. So I would advise all the teams who plan to participate in the field event. So before a field event, try to participate in an online event. That will leverage your knowledge. Because team used to participate in rover competitions for Mars, but they did not have an idea how the Martian conditions are, except the science team. Obviously, some teams they have really good science team. Those people had idea, but someone working in mechanical electronics, they should also have certain idea. And I still remember a very interesting incident during a meeting. Someone asked like, "What's the distance between Earth and Mars?" Nobody had answer. Though we are building a rover for Mars, we don't have an idea. Then someone gave an answer, like this is a distance, and that person was also not aware. Like distance is there, but it's variable; it changes. This is the average distance. So then that was the first time when I realized that we should have a competition, online competition, where teams can first improve this knowledge base here. So if you participate in any of the competitions like IRDC or hackathon, so you improve your knowledge base as far as the Martian conditions are concerned. That is anyway going to help you when your science presentation is going to take place. So I think these are the 3-4 points which are most important. And as obviously I mentioned, have a strong management and administrative team. Your social media, your sponsorship, your logistics, the shipment of your rover, all those things are the things which matter a lot. Especially in the team, when you are sourcing some part, you want to get a sponsorship for that part. It takes time. It's not a 1 or 2 day thing. So if you have a strong team there, you have a good coordination among your subsystems. I have seen there teams which don't have a good coordination among subsystems. In a team, there are sub teams. So those are all the things which are going to help you. And try to keep a system in your team or culture in your team, so that every week, at least once, you meet to discuss what's happening, and those should be serious discussions. So if those things are there in a team, I think they are ready to rock the rover community. Now you have so many rover competitions. Why to participate just in one competition? Participate in more than that, 3-4 competitions.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all of your time. I think it was a very, very informative talk on the topic of IRC, and I'm really glad to meet you guys. So thank you for your participation, and thank you for all the viewers. Do you have any last comments, by the way?
Thank you very much for inviting us, and we are very happy to see that so many other new rover competitions are coming, and we wish you all the very best for the competition which you are planning to start. And again, it's really good, like people from the rover team background, they are taking these kind of initiatives. I think these things were not possible 5 years back, but now when I look at the globe, we have competition in Australia, now in Georgia they're planning one, Canada, USA, India, Europe we have, and now you guys are starting one in Turkey. So that's really, really good. And I hope that we can have so many new competitions in the coming years and so many new rover teams. So yeah, I would like to leave it to that point.
Yeah, I would like to add on that point that the Indian Rover Challenge, when it was first named, was a really good example for us. Like, I know the people from Mars Rover Manipal at the time, and then they started the whole thing as an event, and I really appreciate your work. So you are the example of many other competitions, I think. So I think you have some part for that also. So you need to be appreciated for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much, guys. See you.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.